Yo, what's up? Welcome to Nitro Nation tonight. We've got a long, not a long, but a full show talking about the NHRA Summit Nationals from Norwalk and talking a little bit about some throttle stop setting or throttle stop, what it is, what it means to the super categories. When I say super categories, I mean super comp, super gas, super street. What is a throttle stop? How does it even the playing field? As my dad once said, a throttle stop is it keeps the poor man even, makes it evens the playing field for the poor man. If you can't afford all the big motor, can't afford all the mile an hour, but you can afford enough to get down the track in a time or a little bit quicker, then you can go throttle stop racing. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Big weekend in Norwalk, Ohio at the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals. Corey the Caveman Reed coming away with his first ever Wally. Raced motorcycles for right at about 12 years. Got to a couple finals, was never able to seal the deal for whatever reason, but had an absolute stellar weekend, as we'll see a little bit later. Went through what they call Murderer's Row. Took out Dallas Glenn in the finals. Just absolute great drive for the week. And then the pro stock callouts. I don't know if you guys know about the pro stock callouts, but this weekend we had what's called the callout. So the first matchup was Greg Anderson called out Erica Enders, two of the greatest, most successful drivers in the field in the pro stock category right now. With Greg taking her out, and then the driver with the quickest winning run of the first round got to select their semifinal opponent. So we're going to go through that, but let's get into some of the highlights for the week, and we'll get started with that. So pro stock motorcycle, Matt Smith, provisional number one spot.
Matt Smith, better 60 at 106.7. Here comes the Red Rocket. Matt Smith, 682, 200 miles per hour.
So Matt goes at 682 on his Friday qualifying, puts him at the provisional pole, 682 with a 4, 200 mile an hour. Great pass, provisional pole. So that's a good way to start the weekend for the Smiths. We're going to see some a little bit more action later.
Per hour, Matt Smith puts our purse 200 mile per hour run on the board of the weekend. 200.68 with a 682.4. 683.2, 199.35 for John Hall. They are 1 and 2 with Matt Smith.
All right, so going into Friday qualifying for pro stock. A common theme that I saw over the week, track conditions. Man, there was the people shaking the tires in pro stock, getting a little bit out of shape. You're going to see later in the call out final. Greg gets a little bit free, drives it to the center line, but track conditions played a big role in some of these races this weekend. Let's take a look at this Friday qualifier. Greg Anderson puts her on the pole. Listen to it as it gets down track.
And the HendrickCars.com machine inches ahead at Greg Anderson. with a 6:59.4, 206.70.
All right, watch that again.
And the HendrickCars.com
Watch
machine
it bounce
inches
at the top
ahead
end.
and Greg Anderson
Bouncy,
with a
bouncy,
6:59.4, 206.76.
Bouncy.
Greg Anderson goes back to the top.
Greg Anderson puts her in the pole. Excellent run, 6:59, 206. Like I said, bouncy track down there at the top end. Pretty good launch. But I heard it when I was editing these videos. Man, I'd heard it. It sounded like at about the 8th mile mark. It I don't know. It sounded like it hit a bump or something and kind of unloaded a little bit. I think he probably could have went a little bit better. I mean, it's a pretty good pass. Don't get me wrong, but track conditions again seemed like they were just kind of tricky this weekend. Cruiser, funny car, Friday night. All right, so look, if you ever go to an NHRA drag race, make damn sure that you go see Friday night qualifying. There's something about, and I just got chills thinking about it. There's something about the funny car and Top Fuel under the lights with all the flames coming out of the headers, all 8 cylinders, all the candles are lit, and it's just something special about night qualifying in the fuel categories. Take a look at this. J.R. Todd blows the tires off of it.
All right, here we go. Snap-on makers and fixers at 389 and 318. The Snap-on Tools Dodge goes to the top.
There you go. Cruiser goes number 1 on Friday night qualifying. Again, you can't beat a night qualifying session in a fuel car. There's something magical about it. Absolutely love it. So Cruiser heads to the top, and you
got a new number 1.
And then hang on just a second. All right, so Cruiser hits to the top, and then this is a little bit earlier on Friday. This is the first qualifying shot for Top Fuel on Friday, and Tony Stewart has had a rough weekend. We're going to see a pretty large explosion that he had during the first qualifying shot on Friday. But I got it slowed down. You can see it when it goes into that slow-mo mode. There's a couple things we're going to look at, and we're going to rewind it a couple times. But a couple things I want you guys to look at as it's going through it.
And you got a new number 1.
Watch this.
Oh, massive fireball for Tony Stewart. Oh my goodness! And Sean Langdon with a 378.9 through 24. Langdon into the 7.
Look at this here. All right. We'll take it for what it's worth here. It's just a big explosion. But I'm going to break it down here in just a second. Bam. Huge explosion. Blower exploded. All hell breaks loose when that happens. But what I want you guys to look at first is the tires. As these cars go down the track and build up speed, the tires balloon. They get bigger. They get skinnier, but they get taller. So I want you to see. You can see the exact moment where Tony starts hazing the tires. The tires get really, really narrow and really, really tall, and you see a little bit of smoke coming off of it. And so it just starts blowing the tires off of it right there and goes into an overrev situation, just absolutely blows it apart. But I got it slowed down, but just take a look at that. And then we're going to go back and check out something else from that I noticed as well. See, here's tires. They start getting real skinny, and there you go. It starts hazing it, and then bam, all hell breaks loose. Big, huge explosion. And then the last thing I want to look at
24, Langdon into the 7
is watch Tony's helmet. And this thing's pulling, and I'm talking about pulling, and all of a sudden it quits pulling. Watch how far his head comes forward in the canopy. It is wild. Huge, massive G-force differential in that. So watch his head. Here we go. Tires are starting to haze right now. Here comes the fuel out of the headers, and kapow. Golly, hard, massive explosion. Unbelievable. And then we're going to see what Tony has to say about it afterwards. What a ride. What an absolute ride that is.
Headed to the scene. And you can see the hatch go up.
Yeah. 10-4 drag race mayhem. Yes, he will.
Well, Tony Stewart had a tough way to open up qualifying here. Obviously an expensive qualifying run for you, but what do you feel inside the car when something like happens?
Well, luckily being in a canopy, I don't feel a lot of anything. You just hear it, and you realize, you know, obviously it decells real quick. You go from all those positive G's to no G's anymore, but if anybody needs their yard mowed this week, give me a call. I got some bills to pay this week now.
Tony's been absolutely tearing some parts up. Blowing the tires off of it, but blower explosions, just absolutely tearing some parts up. He'll be all right though. All right, so Justin Ashley has a single run here on Friday night. Again, Friday night qualifying. You just can't beat Friday night qualifying. Under the lights, all the candles lit, man. It's just absolutely a thing of beauty. But let's watch Justin Ashley take it down Broadway here.
375, 2-3.
You know, so I gotta gripe a little bit. I understand NHRA trying to bring in these different camera angles, but it's for me it's been a little tough. It's tough watching it when they go from this view and then to the drone view down the track. It's an odd transition, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. See, that's like four camera angles in one shot.
330.88 miles per hour. Justin Ashley up.
But 375 with a 2 at 330.88 mile an hour. Big mile an hour, big run. Number one qualifier.
15 positions to the number
and
one qualifier.
So that takes
375 to 330, Justin Ashley.
That takes us through Friday night qualifying. Again, Tony with a huge explosion on Friday. And also going into Saturday, Doug Coletta, it was not in the show. He had to make the show on Saturday. He was not in the show, and then well, he wound up putting it in there. But let's take a look at the rest of qualifying.
Smith right, Gage left, a trip to the finals. Angie awaits. Gage off the line first by 8 thousandths of a second. Gage is giving him a ride, and Gage is going to get there on a hole shot. 682, 199 miles per hour. Gage Herrera punches his ticket into the final. The Mission Foods.
So, oddly enough, here's where the too fast, too tasty challenge comes in. So Matt Smith lost the round. So Gage Herrera goes on to the final of the Mission Challenge, but he had low ET. So he improved upon his number one qualifier, and we're going to hear about that.
Too fast, too tasty challenge. A 682.0, 199 moves Gage up to number 2 in qualifying. Matt Smith runs low ET of the weekend, 681.6 at 200. Margin at the stripe, Joe, 3 thousandths of a second.
3 thousandths of a second at 200 mile an hour. We're talking about maybe 3-4 inches. But low ET of the weekend for Matt Smith. Another number one qualifier. 681 with a 6 at 200.68 mile an hour. Oddly enough, his first run was exactly the same mile an hour. 200 point. Oh wait, nope. Sorry. I was wrong. No, I was correct. Yes, 200.68 mile an hour in the first shot, and 200.68 mile an hour in the second shot. Same ET. I'm sorry, same mile an hour, different ET. They got a little bit more aggressive on how the clutch and everything was applied, obviously. pick up a little bit more ET. The track was there. It was hot this weekend. I heard at one point during the broadcast 144-degree track temperature. Man, them NASCAR guys get upset when it gets over 110. We're talking about 144-degree track temperature and trying to put all that power down on the track. That's an accomplishment. All right, so final round of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Mission, Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Angie Smith meets Gage Herrera, and Gage has been a red light last week in the semifinals, I believe it was. Man, he's been on the tree. So let's see what happens. Angie goes bad
red
red.
lit. You knew she moved first. You could see it, but she moved too quickly. 72 red, and Gage Herrera goes to the finish line, 683 at 198 miles.
So Angie went way red. She was 072 red. That's either she rolled it in a little bit deeper than she had realized, or she never really stopped rolling it in and just kind of rolled through it. But that's a pretty bad red light. Just FYI.
Miles an hour.
All right. So Austin Prock has been on an absolute tear. Again, another final in the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. And then on Sunday, he makes it to the final as well. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But let's see what happens.
A little movement early. They will do it twice in a row. Wilkerson goes 4-5.
So interesting enough, and it's, I know it's a lot of it to do with where they're at. Already in the show, you can do a lot of different things in these qualifying attempts. Which, by the way, I just want to point out, NHRA doing different things to appease the fan in the different the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge, the call outs in Pro Stock, just an absolute thrilling way to keep everybody engaged throughout qualifying, throughout the entire weekend. So kudos to them.
15 down the racetrack, third quick at the session at 305 miles an hour.
All right. So here we go. Doug Coletta, Tony Stewart. Doug Coletta currently not qualified. Currently not in the show. Final round of qualifying. Got to put it in the show. And let's see, where was he at? He I didn't see the notes on that. Let's see what happens.
He will get to the finish line first, and he will go better than 399.7. Not by much, though. 395.3 at 294. Doug Coletta lands 15th for Sunday.
So Doug Coletta comes in not qualified and puts it 15th in the show. Talk about making it in by the skin of your teeth. He only made it in by about 0.04 of a second. But being in the show is in the show. So you got a chance. All you got to do is get there. You got a chance if you're there. All right. So once again, I said this is the call out final. Matt Harford versus Greg Anderson. Watch what Greg's car does right off the starting line. It takes a little hard left towards the center line, and he just couldn't recover from that.
Anderson moves up to the center line. Harford's car is locked down. Harford was 200ths better, and Matt Harford's got him finished.
So Harford was 200ths better on the tree, and 500ths better on the ET. Again, Greg's car left and kind of made a funky little move towards the center line, got it out of the groove a little bit, and just wasn't able to overcome that.
Line 660 and 207. Harford
A
did
big
what
win.
Anderson did to him
Huge win for Matt
last year and won the money. Man, tens of thousands of bucks earned on a nice
and
clean
$40,000. All right, so here we go. All right, now we're into Sunday, and we're in the motorcycle finals.
The final here,
Real quick. So Where we at? So it's John Hall and Richard Gadsden. Dude, y'all, hey. I was mind blown when I saw the ending of this race. They leave the starting line, and holy cow! Our winner, our first time winner from Bristol, Richard Gadsden, puts down a pretty good reaction time. He's got, I think, 600s. he leaves him by 600s, but just can't run the number. Watch this. Look at here. We got a 021 to an 082. I'm telling you what. If I'm getting down there, if I get down there to the ET shack and I pick up a ticket and I see I was 021 and the other guy was 082 and I got beat, I'm going to be very, very upset. But hey, that's why it's called racing, right?
Gadsden flinched by a significant margin first, 21 to the reaction time, 82 of Hall. Finish line stripe. It is John Hall.
So 888 or 688 to a 696.7. So counting up, 88 to 96 is 8, right? 800ths. So 87 thousandths is what John Hall beat Richard Gadsden by, and Richard left on him by 61 thousandths. So the stripe there is 20, what did I say? 27,000, something like that. So he just absolutely drove around him. I would have never guessed that if you get left on, especially in any sort of pro category, by 600ths, man, to make that up, and the other person not have any sort of significant mechanical failure. Let's get
688 at 196 miles an hour.
Well, for the first time in 12 years, John Hall gets to hoist the Wally as the champion here in Pro Stock Motorcycle at the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals. John, what does this moment feel like for you?
I can tell you it doesn't feel like it's been 12 years. It feels awesome, and you never know if you're going to get another one. And to get this, man, I can't ask for anything more than that, man. I thank this MSR team, American Rebel Beer, Denzo, Doug Herbert Brakes. I heard that Kenny Koretsky's not doing well, so prayers to him. And, man, it feels good.
Be a lifetime achievement for the...
Okay, here we go. Pro Stock Final. Story of the weekend as drag racing mayhem had told us earlier. Corey Reed, story of the weekend. 12 years as pro stock motorcycle racer, couple final rounds, never was able to secure the Wally. Lines up, pro stock final, going through everybody. And lining up against a teammate and one of the best currently in Mr. Dallas Glenn. And again, watch the left-hand lane here. Let's see what happens.
These two men to record a victory together.
The caveman. Dallas goes into tire shake.
Dallas Glenn shakes the tires. Corey Reed is a first-time winner in Pro Stock Eliminator. My goodness. Gladstone falls.
That was an absolute emotional win. Again, let's watch this move that Dallas Glenn's car makes. It shakes hard and then makes a funky move.
Corey Reed, 12. Dallas Glenn shakes the tires. Corey Reed is a first-time winner in Pro Stock Eliminator. My goodness. Gladstone
it's a good interview,
on the starting line.
Awesome interview down at the top end.
Corey Reed, for the first time, is an NHRA champion here in Pro Stock, the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals. You went through a murderer's row to get to this point to hoist that Wally. As the caveman, how good does this feel, brother?
This is incredible, man. Wow. I've been watching my dad win these things for a long time. I'm lucky enough to work with a great team. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's incredible, man. I'm lost for words. Hard to talk. I want to dedicate this to Willie and Diane, two people that have literally been with me since I started motorcycle racing, and they need this. I love you guys. Thank you for everything.
Congratulations.
Man, you can't say enough. Man's been doing it for a while. went through some struggles, made it out, and is now a pro stock winner, an NHRA pro stock winner. It's great. Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah. So there you go. Joey Gladstone came into the tower with us and shared a cry. Bro. I was watching it and got a little bit teary eyed. I mean, I understand how these guys do, and the passion and the desire and the sheer will that it takes to even to do this, and then to do everything that Corey's been through, man. It's just a fantastic win, fantastic weekend for him. KB Titan, in the final, again, taking down the teammate and one of the best currently. Man, you can't beat it. But on the funny part, so I know people say the Proc Rocket. I just like the way Procket sounds. But anyway. Austin Proc. All right, so let me give you a little number that I overheard on the broadcast. In the final rounds that Austin Proc has been in, he has a 40% win percentage. That's incredible. That's pretty good.
They leave a 50 light for Hagan, but is there enough horse underneath them? Finish line stripe, the win light comes on for Austin Proc. 4:06.9 at 3:18 beats a 4:09.9 at 3:09, and Hagan.
So what did he go? A 4:06 at 3:18. Man, that's just a well put together pass. Again, on Friday qualifying in the Too Fast Too Tasty final. They're probably messing with a little bit of clutch setting or timing, whatever it may be, and probably that's probably why they blew the tires off over there in the Too Fast Too Tasty challenge, or just couldn't get down the track. But probably trying a little bit of something different. But come Sunday, well, they just put it all together. I made 4 stellar passes straight down Broadway. Can't beat it.
Hagan says, "What's a guy got to do around here to get a win light against this kid?"
Your reigning champ Austin Proc is taking off his fire suit, throwing stuff over his shoulder because he just went back-to-back for the second time this year. You've now got 4 wins on the season. You are a funny car champion here at the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. How's that feel, brother?
God, it feels amazing. To win back-to-back in this category is so tough, and I'm just so proud of my family, this whole Cornwall Tool team, all the dealers out there busting their tails to let us come out here and play. I mean, this is amazing. So, yeah, the old Proc Rocket. It got me out of a hole again there, and it left, and it was sideways like a sprint car. It had the ass out, and just had to wrangle her in there, and glad to see that win light down there. Another amazing run by this team. John Force, another one for you, baby. Wow!
So I just, AJ, I want to rewind that.
Light for Hagan, but is there enough horse underneath them? Finish line stripe, the win light comes on for Austin Proc. 4:06.9 at 3:18 beats a 4:09.9 at 3:09, and Hagan says, "What's a guy got to do around here to get a win light against this kid?"
That was you, dude. That's so cool, bro. That is so cool. I had breakfast with John at a Hilton Inn in Joliet, probably 15, 20 years ago. But what's funny is I see.
Over his shoulder.
Listening to Austin's interview, there's shades. There's shade, and obviously he grew up watching him, but there's shades of John Force interviews technique. Just right up in your face, ready to go. Oh yeah! But I always loved watching a John Force interview, and Proc has a little bit of that, just not quite the intensity, or maybe it's the raspiness in the voice that John always had that made it a little bit different. But I see a little bit of Force
because he just went back-to-back for the second time this year. You've now got 4 wins on the season. You are a funny car champion here at the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. How's that feel, brother?
God, it feels amazing. To win back-to-back in this category is so tough, and I'm just so proud of my family, this whole Cornwall Tool team, all the dealers out there busting their tails to let us come out here and play. I mean, this is amazing. So,
Yeah,
I love he gets fired up. He gets more fired up the more he talks.
Again, there, man. It left and it was sideways like a sprint car. It had the ass out, and just had to wrangle her in there. And glad to see that win light down there. Another amazing run by this team. John Force, another one for you, baby.
Wow! You got one more.
All right, so here we go. Top Fuel final. So, man, oh golly, this was such a heartbreak for me personally. I'm a big Clay Milligan fan. But I was overhearing them talking about Funny Car was in the water, and Clay had not even put the valve covers back on yet. And they are calling them to the staging lanes. The Rick Ware Racing crew, I guess, got it all together, got the valve springs in it, got the covers on it, and to my understanding, never even started the car prior to getting to the water box. They had Clay strapped in the car before they even got it off the jack stands back in the pits. Got it on the ground, got it up to the water box, and to my understanding, when they fired it up right there in the water box is when they first fired it up. They had a big tore some stuff up in the semifinals, and scrambling to get there. And yeah, they laid down a pass. Unfortunately, they ran into Paul Bunyan, if you will. The man could just absolutely chop down a Christmas tree. I don't understand how Justin Ashley does it in a fuel car, but the kid has got the starting line figured out. 027. What?
A 27 light for Justin Ashley.
What?
Absolutely.
Bro, there's some pro stockers that didn't even get 27 light. And he's doing it in a fuel car. But look at that, it's a whole shot win. God, Clay Milligan outran him, a 392 with a 2 to a 393 with a 1. If only Clay could have had he could have got away with a 37. If he would have had a 37 light, it still would have been a 1,000th win for Clay. So, yeah, got to tighten up. But hell, who the hell depends on getting a 37 in a fuel car? Needing a 37 in a fuel car. Unbelievable, bro. Like, how do you what do you do to defend against like a 27 in a fuel car is insane. I'm like. He's like, you just kind of load it up and go home. Like, well, I just got my tail kicked. Really, like that's all you can really say. Let's listen to what
dictating terms on the starting line, and he wins on a whole shot. 393 beats a 392. He is a weapon.
Weapon is right.
There was nothing to be disputed here other than the fact that you just knocked the tree down once again, 27 on the tree, and that makes you our top fuel champion here at the Summit Equipment Racing NHRA Nationals. What do you have to say?
Wow is what I have to say. This is absolutely spectacular. My father won here in Funny Car in 2007, and I've always dreamed of winning right here in Norwalk, and this is so incredibly special to me. I have to thank our entire team. They do such an amazing job. They make my job so easy. I'm just along for the ride. Mike Green, Tommy DeLago, Dustin Davis are amazing individuals. They're great at what they do. Thank you to Randy, Maria, the team from Skag Power Equipment, Toyota Gazoo Racing. None of this would be possible without Skag. We might celebrate by riding a Turf Tiger later tonight. RCN Capital, Impact, Kato, Mac Tools, Mobile One. We love you guys. We thank you guys. Dealers and distributors, thank you. Woo!
All right, so what you didn't see there, and I caught it post-race. Justin gets out of the car. Clay's unbuckled and standing up in his car in the driver compartment, and they come over and they embrace. And I just want to point that out, man. The competition, but the camaraderie within NHRA is something way different than other forms of racing, especially like NASCAR. Because, I mean, those guys, they can beat and bang. Obviously, drag racing, you're not going to beat and bang. If you're beating and banging, you're in trouble. But there's something about the mutual respect and admiration within NHRA that they understand that what they're doing and what the crews are doing. It's just I just really love the attitude and the familyness that is NHRA. But that was your NHRA Summit Equipment Nationals from Norwalk. Shifting gears on our what do I say? Technical aspect of drag racing. We're going to talk a little bit of. Oh, I didn't want it to go there. I didn't want it to go there. I didn't want it to go there. We're going to go here. There we go. Throttle stop, and what is a super category, and how does this device right here even the playing field and give a poor man a chance, as my dad was quoted. This device is made by a company called Dead and Bear. It's old school throttle stop. If you see what I've got circled there, that's where all the magic happens, if you will. This thing bolts underneath the carburetor. So you got the carburetor here, throttle stop sitting here. As you see down there, it has some electrical contacts. Those will be connected, and that goes back to the delay box or timer. And that's what controls this. Now, here's the thing. In the super categories, super street, super gas, super comp. Super street's 1090, super gas 990, super comp 890. That means that that particular category cannot go any faster or any quicker than a 1090, 990, or 890, depending on what class. If you do go faster than that, what happens is it's called you break out. That's not good. Now, the reason why I say it evens the playing field for the poor man, because there's several different ways to get down the track. You can have a big motor, which costs a lot of money, or you can have a smaller motor, which doesn't cost quite a bit as much. Doesn't cost quite as much. However, what you trade off in speed, you trade off in ET as well. But if you can get down the track in 990 or less, then you can compete. Most people can go, not most people, but some people. I'm going to use super gas because that's my bread and butter. That's what I'm most familiar with. But 990, my cousin, in his car, he can run a 990 at 145 mile an hour. But my uncle in his car can run a 990 at 160 something mile an hour. And that's, if you think about it, like, man, how do you run 9.9 seconds at 140, but you also run 9.9 seconds at 160? Well, it's because the difference in motors, the difference in power, difference in speed, but there's also the equalizer, which is called the throttle stop. So as I said, this device bolts underneath the carburetor, and it is connected back to a timer, and through different the cars make different runs, and you keep track of the weather, and you take all the notes, all the track temperatures, weather, barometer, lots of different measurements weather-wise that go into drag racing. We'll get into that in later episodes, but you keep track of all that, and you add all this data up, and it gives you a prediction of what your car should run based on the weather at that time. And you'll see a lot of people are checking the weather right before they go into the staging lanes. They'll make their final adjustments right there. So when the car leaves, it'll leave at full throttle. This device, this throttle stop, will be WFO, or wide open throttle. It'll be wide open throttle. The butterflies will be straight up and down. Inside the little cylinders there, these little butterflies that open up. So they'll be straight up and down. Everything's wide open. Carburetor's wide open. The throttle stop is wide open. Now, when that car leaves, there's a button. That's called the line lock. When you let go of that button, that's when the timer starts. The car leaves, and it gets to a certain time, usually about a 1/10 of a second after now it's not a long time. A 1/10 of a second is not a long time, but it's enough to get the car out of the beams. So you get a reaction time. And then it'll go. This thing will close. Yes, Frank, I hear you. So then this thing will go closed for a set amount of time. And then after that set amount of time, the computer will say, okay, let's open it back up. It'll go wide open throttle again. So with the different cars, the different speeds, one car might, they would leave, and one car would go on the timer. They're both going on the timer, and then one car is going to start going before the other car, because this other car can go faster. So as they get down the track, this trailing car is going to be catching them, and the key is to get there in 9.90 seconds or better than your opponent. Again, reaction times play a huge part in all these super categories. Super gas, super comp. Reaction time is enormous, as we saw in the pro stock bike final. Right, Mr. Hall had, Mr. Gadsden had 0.06 of a second. Man, he almost got down there and beat him, and he got outran quite a bit. So the reaction time plays a huge part of that, because if you can get a 100th or 200ths off the starting line on a guy, then that means when you get down there, you're probably going to be about 100th or 200th ahead of him. But you can back that distance up, and that slows you down, which, if your dial-in is correct, you have a little bit to play with at that point. So that's what a throttle stop does. It controls your throttle. It either turns it on or turns it off, depending on what you've set your computer at, what you've set your timer at, what the weather says that you should have set it at, and what you want to do. Some people like to what's called hold a number, hold one or hold two, where they might dial their car in to go a little bit faster, knowing when they get down to the finish line, they can slow it down. So there's a lot of strategy that goes on in these super categories, and way different than the pro categories, where you just leave and you go your WFO, the first one to the finish line wins. As I said, the first interview I did with Caps, I was asking him, I said, hey man, if you climbed into a super gasser, you're probably not going there thinking you're going to win. And he said, no, we're probably going to be embarrassed. Because it's a completely different driving style, and these throttle stops give a poor man a chance. Like I said, that was an article of my dad back in the day, and that's it. Throttle stops give a poor man a chance, and even the playing field for anybody that wants to jump in there, as long as you can go fast enough. If you can go fast enough, you can always slow it down with the device. You can't ever pick up. It's hard to pick up speed, but it's easy to take speed away. Frank, let's see what you say here. I agree with you about the camera angles. It takes away from the run. I want to work with NHRA to change this. They have the expensive cameras and equipment, but it's a style of how they film the races. You're right, man. So that was what I was saying earlier. Like, 4 camera angles within 1 3-second pass is just a lot. Like that's a lot of transitioning and taking my focus off of what I wanted to see. So yeah, I found that very difficult to watch. I appreciate that they're trying to give us some different camera angles, but I think there's some zoom and some different things that they can do and kind of stay on one camera, or at least, just give us 2 cameras. I think they'll get it figured out, I'm sure. Yeah, it is tough, but I hope everybody had a great night tonight. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. I would appreciate some feedback, man. If you guys got any advice for me or anything that you'd like to see or learn about, please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, drag race. Yeah, I think they are trying to be creative, but it doesn't work for a 3-second pass. It's just too many transitions. But yeah, so anything you guys want to learn about or know about, I do. We did get confirmation yesterday from Erica Enders PR that we got a July 9th interview scheduled with Erica Enders. Really excited to talk to her. I'm not going to talk about any sort of disqualifications or wheel violations. Don't want to hash that out. We're going to talk about Erica's career from juniors all the way up to pro stock champion and everything in between, and how everything that she's run was a building block to her career. And just going to go through that. So if you guys got any questions for Erica or anything you'd like answered, or any comments you'd like to for Erica, please let's make sure that you're DMing us, and we'll get those put into the show and get those questions answered. But until next Monday night, we're gonna check out. I did an interview with a sportsman racer, legendary in my book, legendary sportsman racer, Sherman Adcock Jr. Interviewed him last week. I'm still working on that interview. The video was kind of funky with it, but a great guy, Lee. A great conversation that I had with Sherman. One of the guys that I always watched growing up. My dad was a super gas racer. He raced with Sherman quite a bit. And so it was really cool to get to sit down with Sherman and talk to him about his career and everything that he's done and accomplished. So really looking forward to getting more of these Nitro Nation episodes out. And thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. And again, we'll be live next Monday, 8:30 here on Above the Yellow Line. For everybody here at ATYL Media and Miss Taylor Kitchen, I'm Big Duke. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.